I've spent well over 40 years in tourism, and it's not a profession that I chose. It's something that I came into by, if I may use the word, chance. And having started it, it was so fascinating and so alluring that there was no getting out of it. My only regret, and I think that regret is something which comes to everybody when they come of a certain age, that I have not been able to give back as much as the profession has given me. Now, this is something I feel perhaps happens more in India than anywhere else in the world. Professionals everywhere in the world devote part of their time to social causes, to community services. We in India are a little selfish about this, and we seem just to be able to confine ourselves to ourselves and our families at the most. And I hope that as you people grow up, I hope that you choose to come into the hospitality and tourism professions, or whichever profession you go to. I hope that you will think, reflect one day and say that if I have gotten so much from it, then I owe it to give it back to the profession. Chaliye. Now, before I talk about opportunities and global opportunities and what can be done or what should be done, let's be clear whether we understand what the topic is and what the subject is. What is tourism? It's a very abstract word, has no boundaries, has no definition. It's not like a car कि दो दरवाजे हैं, एक डिक्की है, एक स्टीयरिंग व्हील है, ये कार है. टूरिज्म की कोई ऐसी डिस्क्रिप्शन नहीं है. It's an intangible kind of a thing. And what is it made out of? It is made out of collecting services from different providers. You understand the word provider. A hotel is a provider to me because they are providing me accommodation. A taxi driver is a provider to me. A guide is a provider to me. A monument is a provider to me. So I gather all these things together and I make a product. And this product can be anything. From spending 5 days on the beach in Goa to spending 4 days traveling like a maniac, Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, ये वो देख के यहाँ देख के पता ही नहीं कहाँ गए, क्या नहीं किया, फोटो लेके घर आ गए. That is also tourism. And where does the word come from? Where is the word tourism? What are the origins of the word tourism? I suggest that you Google it and have a look at it. There are various explanations. Some say that it comes from the biblical times when people started moving. Moses ke time mein when there was an exodus from Egypt. So, these are things that you've got to be able to understand, then realize that what is it and how and what does it create for you in as far as your futures are concerned. And what types of tourisms are there? I mean, very broad definition. जब हम छोटे थे तो हमारी माँ बाप कहते थे सैर सपाटा. So basically, if I go out of my house and I go to the Humayun's tomb, although the Humayun's tomb is within 2 kilometers of my house, I'm a tourist at Humayun's tomb. But the World Tourism Organization has expanded the definition, and as you all probably know, it means that somebody who undertakes a journey which involves at least 24 hours in a different location, that person is classified as a tourist. Therefore, somebody comes here for business, flies in from the USA, spends 2 nights in Delhi and has meetings with business people in Delhi and goes back, does nothing except taxi, boardroom, taxi, hotel, but he's also classified a tourist. Somebody who comes here for treatment of dental treatment or for any health issues, he's classified a tourist. As a matter of fact, that has now become a very lucrative and very fast growing segment of tourism, which is called medical tourism. And if you were to look at our own origins and our own culture and our own histories, the Indians were the biggest tourists to start with. What was our tourism? Pilgrimages. That was the biggest tourism in this country. अभी कोई वैष्णो देवी जा रहा है, कोई तिरुपति जा रहा है, कोई कहाँ जा रहा है, कोई पुरी जा रहा है, कोई 4 धाम की यात्रा पे जा रहे हैं. So that is also tourism. But in the organized sector, if I may use the word very, very loosely, the tourism which has come to the front has been things like heritage, culture, wildlife, beach, and many other things. And what does tourism do? It is one of the great economic multipliers in the world. And how is it an economic activity? We are not producing anything. So how does it become an economic activity? But by not even producing, but by creating, getting the various segments together and offering it to people, we are making people spend, and usually more than what they would otherwise. And that is how it creates an economic activity. And the people who are our providers or the suppliers are the ones who are benefiting. And to give you an example, a man comes and stays in a hotel. So it's not just the hotel that is benefiting, because the hotel is getting money from him, but the taxi driver in the hotel is benefiting. He stops somewhere and has a meal on a roadside, that the provider of that food service is benefiting. He has a cold drink somewhere, that person is benefiting. He buys an artifact or he goes to a shop, that person is benefiting. He goes to a monument or he goes to a temple and buys the flower, even the flower seller is benefiting. So that is how it is going around in a circle, generating incomes for people, and that is why it becomes an economic driver. And surprisingly, it benefits the lowest, the poorest of the poor, because a lot of these services which are being provided are provided by, again, what is called the unorganized sector, by people who have nothing to do, who are going around their daily business just selling things. They are the ones who benefit from tourism. But again, having said all of that, you must recognize that it's a very fragile kind of a system. Tourism is dependent on a lot of world situations. कल को कहीं लड़ाई हो गई तो टूरिस्ट जाना बंद कर देते हैं. कहीं पे इन्फ्लुएंजा हो गया. Remember 2-3 years ago there was the scare of H1N1 virus. People stopped traveling. Today there's a scare of the Zika virus in South America. People are already talking in terms that how is it going to affect tourism at the Rio Olympics. So these are very, very fragile, and even today, despite everything that has happened, the more affluent tourists in the world, and unfortunately or fortunately, the more affluent tourists in the world come from either Western Europe or the United States. They are scared of going to the Middle East. Tourism in Egypt, tourism in Jordan to some extent, not Israel is a little isolated, and that's a different reason that we can talk about. But people are scared to go to these countries because of the war-like situation which exists there. So for tourism to flourish, safety, peace, prosperity, that is an essential. Safety and peace is essential. And when I talk of safety, it's not just safety from wars or conflicts, it's from disease and hunger as well. That is a bigger threat than war actually. War is limited. Disease and hunger are unlimited. They can go on for centuries. So if you are able to understand these factors, what is tourism, what types of tourism there are, what does it consist of, then I think it becomes much easier to be able to understand what opportunities it represents or what can it present. And we'll talk about these opportunities. But to me, the greatest opportunity is again an intangible. That here is something that you can do without any seed capital. आपने अगर कोई tourism का कोई product बेचना है, all you need is an imagination and an audience. That is all. And today in the days of electronic media, social media, net, ये वो audience is available to you. So all it needs is a little bit of imagination, no capital, or very little capital. क्या, just an internet connection on a laptop, and you can become a professional in tourism. Now when I use the word professional, it's loose, but you can actually start, you take your first step. So it's a great opportunity for entrepreneurship. Initially, start off, do something, and then as you learn, you grow into specializations and segments that you want to specialize in. The basic ingredients of tourism are accommodation. Now when I talk of accommodation, we can talk of luxury hotels, we can talk of 5-star hotels, we can talk of business hotels, we can talk of guest houses, and we can talk of homestays. Now this last phrase, homestay, is becoming more and more popular. And why is it becoming popular? Because the tourists are now wanting to experience more than just see and click. So when you go somewhere, you want to actually experience what life is there rather than see it from a distance as used to be the norm. आप आए ताजमहल होटल में ठहरे, 2 फोटोएं ली, एयर कंडीशन गाड़ी में बैठे, 2 और फोटोएं ली और वापस चले गए. Those tastes have changed. People don't want that. They want to hear, they want to smell, they want to see, they want to experience. So the visit or the program or the tour has to look and see कि क्या 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 लोग मांग रहे हैं और कैसे उनको हमको पैकेज करके ऑफर करके देना है इन लोगों